Hello and welcome to the Car Nerd Talks podcast, where today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic cars of the 90s, the replacement for the Lamborghini Countach, the 1990 Lamborghini Diablo. This week, of course, is Lamborghini week, not in reality, just in my head. So every single video for the next 5 days is going to be Lamborghini based. So if you like Lamborghini, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you don't like Lamborghini, like and subscribe anyway, because there's other videos here. Let's jump straight into it. Thank you so much for watching. So in the 1980s, Lamborghini had been taken over and out of bankruptcy by the Mimran brothers, who were the guys who introduced the LM002. They also introduced updated Countaches that went back to just crazy styling and are the type of thing that you saw in Wolf of Wall Street, where they just were overboard and made it the legendary 80s car it was. While they were looking at the LM002 and selling some to Saudi princes and whatnot, they were also looking at a way to replace the aging Countach. Countach had been around since 1974 and it was about time for it to be replaced, so they set into motion Project 132. Project 132 would become the replacement for the Countach, and they set up some very specific rules for it. One, it had to be as radical looking as the Countach, but in an updated sense. Had to have a speed at a minimum of 196 miles an hour, and it had to look more aerodynamic. However, in 1987, the brothers sold for a massive profit, might I add, for the first time in Lamborghini's history. They sold the company to Crystler for a few $1 billion, I believe it was. And Crystler decided to take over the project, and they had the money to pump into this development. And at the time, the president, I believe, was Lee Iacocca, and he wanted it to be an amazing car that would show off what Lamborghini could do. The car at the time had been designed by legendary Bertone designer Marcello Gandini, who designed the Countach and the Miura before. However, Crystler were uncomfortable with this, and they decided to hand over the development and design to their in-house team at Crystler. A guy called Tom Dale, I think, took over. And the reason for that was Marcello Gandini, they thought, had made it too stark and made some of the lines a bit, just Italian wedge shape, as you can imagine. It's a bit overboard for a company like Crystler. So they handed that over, and Gandini was famously upset about this whole thing, much as he was later on with the Bugatti EB112. 110. I meant 110. In terms of look, this is a stunning looking car. As I said, it's essentially a Gandini design. However, it was then updated by the Crystler team, who softened it, got rid of the sharp edges and sharp turns, and made it a really, really nice looking car. Of course, it had those beautiful 80s style pop-up headlamps until the 1998 facelift, when the lights were replaced with something from a Nissan 300ZX, which is quite weird. It did, of course, still have the suicide doors, which every Lamborghini has to have. And this was a stunning looking car. It wasn't as stark and overpowering as the Countach, but it was beautiful. And that was one thing that people liked about it. And this went on to sell twice as many as the Countach, so obviously people enjoyed it. In terms of looks, it had a lot of the weird things that Lamborghini had at the time, the eccentricities, the air scoops at the back, the weird lines, the gills. This was just a beautiful looking car. And when it comes to the interior as well, it was updated to be slightly more modern version of the Countach, but with a lot more curves inside than the Countach had, which had stark kind of rectangular boxes. It also had buttons that didn't do anything inside, and it had absolutely no storage space other than one behind the, I believe it was the passenger door, which essentially was useless because you had to open the passenger seat to get to it. And you couldn't just move the passenger seat forward. It's ridiculous. So, it's Lamborghini at the end of the day. So, essentially what happened, like I said, with this was Marcello Gandini got kicked off the project, and he was famously upset about this, and then took on the EB110 Lamborghini or Bugatti project, which you can see here. And he was also famously disappointed when they kicked him off that. So, not a good run for Gandini, but thanks to him, this car existed. He then took the original design and went to Ciezza, who created the V16T, which is essentially is the same car, but with a different engine by a different manufacturer. In terms of the engine, this was still the original Lamborghini V12 that was placed in the Miura and the 350 GTV. So this car basically had the same engine that Lamborghini had been using since the 1960s, but that was okay because this V12 block is incredible and would live on until the end of the Murcielago in 2010. That's how good it was. Now, they had increased the displacement from the original 3.5 litres that this engine had to 5.7 litres, which gave it a roaring 458 brake horsepower, 428 pound-feet of torque. That means that basically with the dual overhead cams and the four valves per cylinder, this car was incredibly powerful. However, during its lifetime it would be increased to 575 brake horsepower with a 6 litre V12. The same V12 just bored out to 6 litre displacement. The Lamborghini Diablo was the first production car to hit 200-mile-an-hour mark. It did 202 miles an hour. Now, you might say that there was the RUF that did it before that, or the F40 that did it before that, but to be a production car you have to have sold 400, so it was the first to hit both of those, to sell 400 units and hit 200 miles an hour, making it the first actual production car to hit 200 miles an hour. And if you don't believe me, then tell me in the comments, because I'll disagree with you there too. This car made it from 0 to 202 miles an hour without fail, and would do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, I believe it was, which is nothing compared to a Tesla today, but in the 90s that was incredibly quick. Final word on this car is that this followed on from the Countach tradition of Lamborghini being bedroom posters for us young lads, and it was just an incredible looking car which lived on from the Countach in a way that Lamborghini wanted it to. So this car was really one that just took over the torch correctly, even though Crystler was in charge. And without the success of this selling 3,000 units, which is a lot for something like a hand-built Lamborghini, then VW may not have thought about buying the whole brand. So thankfully, because of Crystler taking it over, we now have VW today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, I really appreciate it, and have a fantastic day. Also, if you're reading this on Drive Tribe, thank you so much. Don't forget to give me a follow on there.